ada kelas ke?
Ada, ma'am.
Pukul 2 sampai pukul 4.
Ma'am, tak dengar.
Tak dengar?
Ada, ma'am. Ada kelas, ma'am.
Ada? Kelas
Ada,
apa?
ma'am.
Kelas apa?
Kelas
English.
Oh, kelas English. Alamak. Lah, kalau korang boleh ikut, saya rasa sangat bagus sebab kita panggil orang MC, kita panggil orang CSM. So, and then dia akan bagi dari segi law, dia akan bagi dari segi DF. Tak apalah kalau macam tu. Saya rasa I'll just for you the invite. So kalau korang berkesempatan, I ingat nak buatkan itu jadi sebagai our class, so you can so we don't have class on Tuesday. Tapi since you ada kelas lain, tak apalah. Alright, that's that. Okay, so I was looking into our material, our course material actually sebab ada banyak perubahan daripada since my last time I ajar was 2 years ago, digital forensics. So the new slides, can anybody tell me, have you guys read the new slides, the one that is in e-learning? Dah ke? Dah baca tak? Ada sesiapa baca tak? Ke tak buka? Tak pernah tahu, ma'am. Ada tak? Hello, can you guys hear me? Speaker saya problem kot. Tak dengar siapa apa cakap.
belum, ma'am. Belum.
Belum? I dah masuk minggu keempat ni. Okay, so please read through. There's some things that I can actually we can actually use. Maybe today I'll use the one that I'm currently using, which is digital archaeology, and on Friday we'll use the one in e-learning. So it's a bit of both. And I think both can actually accommodate, macam complement each other, and then you can actually understand more on digital forensics. I don't know, I'm passionate about it, so I'm hoping that you can actually have like 1 inch of a passion that I have for digital forensics. So at least boleh lah korang nak macam semangat sikit nak belajar. Kalau tak korang macam boring je lah memang apa ni. Balik-balik chain of custody. Okay, alright. So today's topic is going to be chapter 6, which is first response and digital investigator. We've actually covered maybe a few items on this, and then we'll begin with digital evidence acquisition, data acquisition. Hopefully by next week you can actually do a little bit of hands-on. I'm hoping that your computers will be okay, or maybe you guys can work in pairs. Kalau sebab korang kebanyakannya memang ada kat dalam UPNM, so choose the best, the lesser congested punya laptop lah antara pair korang ni, and then you can actually try to do a few a few things ataupun a few hands-on punya activities. We'll do computer forensics. We'll have I'll invite someone to talk about mobile forensics. I'm trying to balance it out sebab you guys will actually be taking another course later on, which is digital crime investigations, and that will be more hands-on actually. Yang ni macam introduction lah, ini macam just tipping your toes inside the water lah, kind of thing. Nak tahu forensics dia mesti ada tools, and what kind of tools that we are actually looking into, what are the steps you need to take. So the more technical stuff will be in your short semester during your final year punya project. So you have masa tu you akan belajar pasal malware forensics, network forensics, and I'll have all these industrial players to come and share their experiences and teach you how to do a few of the online exercises, and that will be for DCI. So for digital forensics, usually I do that for digital forensics, but since now we're offering DCI as well, so DCI tu nanti saya akan fokuskan buat hands-on. So digital forensics ni is more on itulah just introductions to the tools that we're using, what are the steps, what do you need to do, how do you equip yourselves. I'll also have your seniors who are currently doing digital forensics to come by and not come by, come online to share with you guys. Okay. All right. So this is chapter 6. First response and digital investigators. So by now, you guys would know what is the significance of having digital forensics. Allah Akbar. Okay. Kenapa kena ada digital forensics? Because it's actually an act ataupun a process in order to help solve crimes. So you're going to analyze, you're going to acquire, you're going to assess, you're going to analyze, acquire, assess, analyze, and then basically report on your findings. And you are not the judge. You don't get to say what's wrong, what's right, but you supply the evidence. And digital forensic investigators are often being called to the court to actually hand out ataupun to present their findings, what they found and blah blah blah. And we believe that by all the evidence that we conducted it using the SOP that we already have. We all have chain of custodies. We use right blockers, blah 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 blah. So you present your findings in court. One of the thing that I memang tak sempat lagi, yang satu yang saya rasa macam kalau ralat, saya rasa macam belum lagi bawa ialah belum bawa students untuk pergi tengok real life court session on crime, digital crime. Fingers crossed kalau masa DCI you guys nanti ada peluang, maybe we can actually go and see one of the we can shadow mana MC punya personals kan untuk pergi tengok macam mana dia defend cases kat dalam court. That'll be awesome. Alright, so forensic and computer science. So just what does forensics actually mean? It's suitable to be presented in court, like I said. Digital forensics combines legal process with technology. So it's not just about technology or technical or being savvy. Macam tech savvy. Kalau mobile forensics nanti you akan tengok kita akan pakai banyak tools, and then there's one yang kita panggil sebagai chip off. So dia akan, the last resort is because you cannot get information from the phone, you akan buka phone, dismantle the phone, and then chip off the memory so that you can actually get data from that. So it's technical, but at the same time, if you don't follow the legal process, then there's no use of you doing digital forensics. Okay. So the job of a digital forensic investigator, never do harm to the investigation, meaning don't tamper with any evidence, do not make inference. Maksudnya you jangan pula cakap, oh sebab saya tak suka you tengah menyiasat kes pasal child pornography contohnya. So you dah ada satu misconception, pakcik dia ni memang bersalah ambil gambar dia kan. So apa-apa pun you punya dalam kepala you ni, dia ni bersalah. You pun cari, gali kan. You nak membuktikan dia bersalah. Itu salah. Sebagai digital forensic investigator, that's not your task. Your task is to find all the evidence that is inside the artifacts that we actually acquired daripada crime scene. Okay, acquire evidence from computer device that can be used as evidence. So itu kita punya ni lah, kita kena dapatkan data tu. So if it's cases of kidnapping, so mungkin computers yang terlibat. I don't know why during your class kan my voice mesti hilang. Sekejap Okay, so it depends. You need to assess the situation sebelum you pergi acquire evidence. So kalau dia kata tadi pasal kidnapping, so what are the possible detailed evidence? Mungkin CCTV, mungkin social media. So macam mana kita nak preserve social media punya data? Macam mana kita nak pastikan data, kita nak preserve data daripada network contohnya, if it's network, ataupun macam mana kita nak dapatkan siapa yang hantar malware ni, siapa yang hantar ransomware ni. So macam mana kita nak cari trail of footsteps dia kat internet. So assess the situation and then acquire the evidence. So the Locard's principle for digital forensics, if you touch it, you change it. What does it mean? So kalau computer, it has a log. So kalau if a computer is on, Masa you pergi sampai kat crime scene, komputer tu on. So you pun, oh semangat ni, first case you pernah turun ke site, you pun, you ambil, you grab the mouse, you pun tekan start, regedit, you pun masuk kat dalam CMD, command prompt, you pergi regedit, you nak tengok lah semua ni lah. Register semua ni kan, you nak tengok siapa HK user, bla 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 bla. So apa yang you telah buat, you telah potentially lose the case. Make the lawyers lose the case. Sebab apa? If you touch any of the information without actually having precautions on the macam steps, nanti kita akan belajar apa steps untuk you acquire the evidence. Kalau you tak ikut the steps, meaning that you didn't preserve the data properly, and kalau lawyer sebelah sana tahu, you're dead meat lah. Dia akan cakap, okay, you dapat dengan cara salah, walaupun apa yang you buat betul, and then how can you be sure betul you tak betul, saya buat ini, lepas tu saya memang ikut step. Okay, how can we be sure yang you betul-betul ikut step? Sebab yang first step tu you dah salah dah. Kan dalam lawyer kan dekat court selalu macam tu, dia mesti nak mencari kesalahan you. So just make sure that if you want to touch PC or laptop ataupun mobile phone, there is a sequence ataupun there is a process to it, which we will learn later on. Okay, and whatever a criminal touches, there is evidence to be found. The good thing is, kalau criminal guna satu benda tu, kita mesti boleh dapat. Macam mana kalau dia guna internet rally ataupun macam mana dia guna, kalau dia guna VPN macam mana kita nak boleh track down dia punya IP address? There's always a way. Tapi the thing is, we are playing catch up dengan criminal lah. Polis mengejar pencuri. Macam tu lah, kita jadi polis ni lah. Kita sentiasa mengejar dia. Tapi kita nampak lah footprint dia untuk kejar dia kat mana. It might be hard. It might be very tough to take, and it might take time, but usually kita akan boleh jumpa lah, melainkan if evidence tak cukup. Okay, whatever an investigator touches, there is evidence to be destroyed. But changing the evidence does not necessarily render it unusable. Tapi ada certain cases yang you kena juga guna. Contoh ialah phones. Phones ni nak tak nak, you still kena buka dia punya, if someone has a pattern lock on your phones, on their phones. So nak tak nak, you kena buka lah untuk you dapatkan data tu, your password ke dan sebagainya, dia kena buka. And then usually if the suspect is there, we straight away ask them to give the password. Sebab apa? Sebab cracking a password will take ages. Dalam TV dia nampak macam senang. 5 minit dapat. Tapi tak, it will take ages to actually crack a password because there's multiple combinations that you can actually use. There's also websites on that. You can actually go on site, you boleh tengok online. Ada macam-macam lah website untuk crack passwords, default passwords. Siapa yang tukar password kat routers? Do you change your router password kat rumah? The question. Have you ever been into the admin page untuk routers?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. If you have, then good. If you dah change, then good. But if not, it is actually the same common password. And most, saya guarantee, kebanyakan rumah semua pakai default router password. So you can actually do all this bombastic password untuk your Wi-Fi. But if somebody gets into your router, it's the same thing lah. Dia still boleh access, dia still boleh disseminate virus ataupun malware melalui your punya network, which korang pun dah belajar lah dalam networks. Alright. Okay, so what is the characteristics of evidence? So it's class characteristics. Sama ada a large group can share the same characteristics. So usually you use to narrow the search pattern. So contohnya ada 100 PC. And so you need to have a pattern. Okay, kita tengok yang mana siapa yang lock PCs ni during that time of incident. So you kecilkan scope. Daripada you pergi buat investigation dekat 100 tu, sebenarnya yang terlibat 2 je. Rugi masa kan? So there's characteristics that you can actually narrow down the search pattern. Ataupun you can say that we are doing investigation on cyber terrorist attacks. So cyber terrorist attacks selalunya dia pakai apa? What kind of evidence can you find for cyber terrorist attacks? What do you guys think? Saya je bercakap kan? Apa jenis evidence yang you rasa ada yang kita boleh macam buktikan orang ni terlibat dalam cyber teroris dan dia merancang untuk datang dan bom KLCC pada sekian-sekian. Kita dapat aduan lah.
Email, SMS kan.
Emails, yes, so you can check emails kalau dia pernah ada conversation lagi. Apart from that,
search Google man.
okay, Google macam dia punya search history ataupun network history kan. Search history, apa yang pernah dia tengok sebelum ni, adakah dia selalu pergi kat certain blogs ataupun website, sebab kebanyakan terrorist groups ni dia pakai blogs lah, untuk blogs ke ataupun Facebook ataupun IG yang mana yang memang dia very strong, dia ada very strong idea on dia punya belief lah, sebab tu dia nak dia nak recruit orang kan, dia pakai itu. Lagi, what else? What do you guys think?
IP address, ma'am.
IP address, so your network trails lah IP address. Tapi IP address tu kalau you punya lah, kalau melainkan kalau dia ada pergi certain IP addresses yang you memang dah flag. Contohnya FBI ke ataupun kat sini lah PDRM, dia ada list of potential potential IPs yang terlibat dalam cyber terrorist contohnya. So kalau dia pernah mana-mana komputer yang pernah pergi dekat all this IP address, you dah boleh flag dia sebagai red flag ke apa ke kan. Alright. Good. What else? What do you guys think? Where else can we find evidence? Yeah.
Kalau kita nak check dia punya Google search history, tapi dia actually bila browsing Google tu dia pakai incognito mode. Macam mana kita nak check memang? Atau kita still lagi boleh ada cara nak check ke? Boleh kan?
Okay, good. That's a good question. So incognito mode ni is a method kita panggil sebagai anti-forensics. So dia disguise behind nak ensure keselamatan you guys. You boleh ni. So dia telah mematahkan mematahkan usaha digital forensics lah. Sebab digital forensics ni dia nak ada terms. We'll look into that later on. We will have a topic on web forensics later on. So we'll go into the details later on. Boleh Zah? How and what kind of information can we actually gain by doing investigations on incognito punya searches. It's going to be a little bit tricky. Dia akan jadi lain dengan normal Google punya site. Tapi it's not impossible to say that we can actually get data. Okay. Alright, going back to the cyber terrorist kan, selain daripada tu mungkin we can search for media. Mungkin dia ada recorded conversations with the other punya conspiracies ataupun yang mana suspek-suspek lain. Ataupun dia pernah tengok gambar-gambar, dia simpan gambar-gambar, gambar-gambar pertemuan ke, gambar-gambar reunion ke kan, ataupun gambar-gambar yang macam menunjukkan macam mana nak bom dan sebagainya, nak buat bom dan sebagainya. So media is also one of the important issues. Tapi media I'm not going to be covering. We used to cover media forensics as well in digital forensics. So it used to be very huge subject, digital forensics. And when I first teaching this in 2009, kita offer students untuk ambil CHFI, if you've heard of that, Certified Hacking Forensic Investigators. So your seniors graduated with CHFI punya certs, and it actually help them to find jobs. Tapi sebab sekarang ni kita tak ada budget. Tapi if you guys have your own macam educations and stuff, so you guys can look into that. Macam kalau korang minat network, ada CNA dan sebagainya. Kalau korang suka hacking, korang suka penetration testing, korang tahu pasal benda-benda nak buat malware analysis bla 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 bla, you can actually take CHEH. CHEH is one of the most profitable punya ni, and I know that some of your seniors are getting the chance to actually take CHEH, which is Certified Ethical Hacker. And all of this is from EC Council. So CHEH ni is very good as well. If you have that, it's easier for you to find jobs. And so for forensics, specifically is CHFI, which is Certified Hacking, bukan, Certified CHFI, Forensic Investigator. Certified, can't remember. Forensic Investigator. Itulah, itu zaman dulu lah. Alright. Okay, there's also individual characteristics that you can actually go into in terms of descriptive element, whether it's unique or not, serial numbers. So if you take 10 PCs, make sure that you have all the serial numbers written as well, and then maybe there is a pattern. So it all depends on the case actually. Alright, so what is the difference between a digital and a physical evidence? So paper document is physical. It can actually be destroyed, but you can actually take up fingerprints. Kalau dekat Cyber Security Malaysia, dia punya lab lab digital forensics dia termasuk dengan satu lab yang dia macam you tengok kat CSI, itu CSI yang mana dia boleh powder for fingerprints. So dia cari fingerprints, maybe dia cari fingerprints dekat your peripherals, your mouse ataupun your phones. Dia nak tengok your password untuk phone kan, bila ada smudge kan kita selalu sangat pakai kat situ. Oh inilah pattern dia, possible pattern dia ialah bla 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 sebab dia punya fingerprint contohnya. But you only have that kalau you guna paper ataupun physical punya evidence. Tapi if digital, you akan ada macam-macam. You akan ada metadata. What is metadata? What is metadata? Anyone? What is metadata? Metadata.
Dia macam hash atau date dengan time, ma'am.
Okay, dia ada, okay, part of it, yes. Anyone else want to try? Semua orang ada ke ni? Rashida, are you there?
Ni meh ada.
What is metadata, Rashida? Rasa-rasa lah. Hentam ni lah.
Metadata tu macam
Metadata macam temporary ke man? Temporary data.
Tak, metadata is permanent data. Okay, okay, so metadata is actually data that explains data. So contohlah, you jumpa, you masuk dalam evidence, you jumpa satu komputer, you pun pasti dengan you ada write blocker, which I will explain later, and then you pasang you punya forensic tools, bla 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 bla, you jumpa a few pictures yang telah di-deletekan. Maksudnya kalau you physically tengok, physically you cari kat dalam komputer ni, you tak jumpa. Dia dah delete dalam sistem, tapi kalau kita guna tools forensik kita boleh dapatkan balik contohnya. So bila kita dapat balik data tu, kita tak tahu kat mana. Mungkin kalau data tu kat dalam DCIM, kita tahu dia ambil pakai phone punya kamera kan. Tapi kalau dia macam itulah, lambatkan foto-foto yang telah di-delete, macam mana kita nak tahu dia sebenarnya berasal dari mana, bila dia ambil segalanya, semuanya ada dalam metadata. And we'll look into that bila kita buat physical activities nanti, ataupun mobile forensics pun kita akan nampak jugalah. You akan dapat metadata. So setiap file dia ada metadata dia, which is data yang mana explainkan that particular one piece of data ataupun one piece of gambar. So gambar yang you ambil dekat you selfie kat sini, you selfie dekat phone ni, sebenarnya dia ada metadata dia. Dia pakai phone apa untuk ambil, bila dia ambil, what is the location that you took the picture. So that is all actually for every single piece of single, saya bagi contoh gambar kan. So satu gambar tu dia ada metadata dia sendiri. Dia diambil kat mana, bila, ikut Greenwich mana, dia punya garis khatulistiwa kat mana, dia pakai time zone yang mana. what time dia ambil dan sebagainya. So it's all, everything is the same. Not only for gambar, for emails pun ada dia punya metadata dia juga. So dia email ni nak sampai ke kita daripada A ke B, dia akan lalu multiple servers contohnya. So dia ada list of servers yang dia lalu. And so all of that data ada untuk setiap evidence. So that's why digital documents are actually quite good in terms of kita boleh dapat all this data, all this metadata. But there are cases yang kita tak dapat metadata, which we will look into masa kita tengok mobile forensics. Contohnya ialah compressed images ataupun images yang kita gunakan application. Contohnya untuk WhatsApp. Kenapa gambar kita bila kita hantar kat WhatsApp tak cantik? Macam tak maintain kan. Daripada phone kita cantik. Bila kita forward kat kawan-kawan guna WhatsApp dia tak cantik. Sebab apa? Sebab dia compress kan. Dia kecilkan size supaya dia boleh muat lah kat dalam dia punya WhatsApp. So bila dia kecilkan size tu dia buang metadata. So that's another issue yang kita akan tengok in terms of macam mana kita nak dapatkan balik that data. Alright? Faham setakat ni? Am I just babbling or do you guys are we on the same path? Boleh
Boleh ma'am.
Alright.
Boleh.
Okay, jangan tidur dulu. Sikit lagi. Okay. So if it's a paper document is burned, kalau dia dah terbakar memang hilang habislah, you tak boleh nak dapat balik. Tapi digital evidence kalau you delete kita boleh restore. Most probably kalau you delete ke you format ke you boleh dapat balik data tu, and we'll look into that next week. Okay, digital sources carry evidence on the document other than the document itself. So dia ada metadata, dia ada kat dalam. Kalau dia tak ada, ni pula you dah delete kan, kita mungkin boleh tengok kat dalam registry and trace user mana yang guna, adakah the main user, ataupun kalau kat desktop kita boleh buat multiple users kan, kita boleh tengok user mana yang guna, ataupun kalau kita download daripada internet kita dah delete dah, tapi kita dah ada trail dekat internet, dekat dalam temporary files, ataupun dekat download file ada, ataupun dia tak habis download, separuh je lepas tu internet tak ada, so dia akan ada dekat temporary files. Kalau passwords dia akan ada dekat cache, dia akan ada dekat dia punya cookies, where you manage all these passwords dan sebagainya. So there's a lot of locations where you can actually get the data walaupun data tu dah dipadamkan. Alright? So who's the first on scene? So siapa yang ni always find out who is in charge before you begin. Kalau you dapat panggilan untuk buat investigation, you have to understand. Okay, so what kind of case is this? Is this a criminal ataupun a civil case ataupun an internal case? Okay, and definitely it will never be you. Sebab apa? Sebab you bukannya investigator, you bukan lawyer, you bukan PI, private investigator, bukan. You cuma tolong sahaja. Okay, and there might also be multiple owners on the scene. So contohlah kalau macam kita bagi contoh yang besar sikit okay lah, ada raid tempat perjudian. So mungkin ada banyak owner dekat situ. So first ada orang yang pasal financial counterfeits kan, orang daripada financial fraud punya orang, mungkin orang daripada bank negara dekat situ. Lepas tu of course polis. Lepas tu mungkin ada orang cedera pula kat situ. So dia ada ambulance, so dia owner bahagian yang fizikal. Lepas tu you pula terlibat dalam bahagian komputer je. Kalau apa-apa komputer yang ada kat situ, you akan tolong untuk supply. So you have to find out who is in charge, so that you know the flow of the investigation. Dapatkan maklumat beforehand, dewan ni pakai apa, what are we looking at, phones, mobiles, network servers, so you know what to bring on site. Secure the scene. So you have to ensure people's safety is first. So selalu you nampak kalau crime scene tu ada macam dia pasang do not enter bla 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 bla. So that is to ensure the safety and security of people outside, and also to ensure the safety and integrity of the evidence on site. Okay? Integrity. Okay? So then you identify the potential source of evidence. So you kata, okay, so ini case pasal apa? Perjudian Okay. So what are the potential sources? They might be PC, they might have their own servers, they might have money machines, yang digital money machines, So that will be under you. Kalau dia bukan digital, it'll be under the police. So you need to know siapa yang in charge. Jangan korang berebut pula dah sampai ni. Tak nampak ni dia macam keypad ni aku punya. Tak boleh lah. So you need to identify and work together to actually solve a crime. Okay, so when you're on the scene, take lots of pictures. You need to always carry a digital camera. Nanti if we get a chance to listen to your seniors talk, and kita boleh minta tolong dia orang share juga apa kit yang dia bawa untuk pergi dekat crime scene. Apa benda all this peripherals yang dia bawa. Kalau ada mobile phone, dia mungkin bawa Celebrite. Celebrite is in on-site punya, macam you boleh terus buat imaging pada phones on the spot, so we don't really need to take their phones back to our lab dan sebagainya. Alright, so kita ada satu, bukan kita lah, dia orang ada satu kit yang mana dia orang boleh pergi kat crime scene and do all of this. You need to make inventory of the potential devices that might contain the evidence. Always start the chain of custody. Make notes on your observations. If you remember me telling you guys about C notes. So C notes is contemporaneous notes. Contemporaneous notes ni means that you jot down every single detail. Ikut turutan masa tu lah. Macam okay, pukul 5 aku sampai. 5-6 minit. Masuk dalam crime scene. Lepas tu you lukiskan sketch. Oh, ada 3 komputer kat sini. Saya jumpa kat sini. Lepas tu after further search, saya jumpa pula cables, HDMI. So and then you see like HDMI cables yang unplugged. So you kata oh there might potentially be other peripherals yang dia gunakan. So you might pergi cari pula kalau you jumpa video cameras ke, or you jumpa TVs ke, ataupun you jumpa portable punya music players ke. So all of that has a trail to that. Okay, you need to observe. So the obvious sources are of course the computers, your PDAs, cell phones, external drive, CDs, USB. What else? Yang obvious, digital cameras. Kalau atas you punya desktop tu ada digital camera, ambil lah. Ataupun kalau dia ada SD card, ambil lah yang tu kan. Kira you confiscate lah sebagai evidence kalau dibenarkan. Alright, so the less obvious sources, tiba-tiba ada PS3 kat situ. So PS3 is actually a computer. And it can actually be used to hack. And it has been used to hack into systems. PS3, whatever, PS4, whatever you guys are doing right now. PS5 kan sekarang, sorry. PS5, your Nintendos, whatever it is lah yang pernah. Zaman saya dulu ada Wii lah, ada Kinect, PS Kinect, whatever. So all of these are mini computers. Dan sekarang ni mini computers lagi kecil. Last week, I was in IoT training. There was this kalau you pakai Raspberry Pi, you pernah dengar kan Raspberry Pi? I know some of you have gone through your diplomas, you may have done Raspberry Pi punya projects. So if you use Raspberry Pi, you actually have your own internal storage in there. So mungkin dia boleh letak storage dekat dalam tu. Dia guna kereta kan, kereta yang dipasang dengan Raspberry Pi dengan kamera kat situ, kamera kecil kat situ, dia ada dia punya storage sendiri. So dia ambil gambar contohnya untuk surveillance kan. So dia simpan data dalam tu, tapi you nampak itu mainan je ni, tak ada benda, you tak ambil, so rugilah. So that is one of the less obvious sources. So sekarang ni macam-macam lagi less obvious sources, sebab sekarang ni teknologi everything semua macam memang it may not look like a computer, but it is actually a computer. Contoh your smartwatches, so it actually simpan data. What else? Your USBs don't look like USBs anymore. Even some of your ni torchlight pun ada simpan juga data. Macam-macam lah. Banyak tempat yang ada data. So you have to identify and you have to assess, and then you have to acquire the evidence. So because there might be evidence in that particular digital storage. Okay. game machines, digital audio, printer fax machine. So itu pun obvious lah, selalunya kalau you tengok cerita-cerita macam drama-drama James Bond dan sebagainya, dia mesti akhirnya dia nak print something. Kan, dia tak nak lagi nampak dia buat pertukaran ke, dia nak tengok serta benda yang dia nak dapatkan maklumat ke apa, dia print ataupun dia fax ataupun dia email ataupun mungkin dia transfer kat phone. So you can actually go into the logs and find that. Alright, answering machines. So if you find owner manuals ataupun manuals untuk some drones tapi you tak jumpa drones, so there's actually a cause ataupun you can raise suspicion, cakap okay ada banyak manual pasal drone tapi we can't find a single drone contohnya. So you have to take note of that and then make sure that maybe dia sembunyikan kat mana-mana ke ataupun suspect letak kat rumah dia ke, and then you can extend your warrant to go at the suspect's house and then get that piece of information ataupun evidence. Okay, so how do you handle evidence? You need to identify and photograph, and always identify and photograph, document the evidence. You have to put the make, model, serial number semua kat dalam mana? Make, model, serial number, where do you put that? Information on the evidence.
Metadata.
Dekat chain of custody form. Okay, so you have to document everything. And sometimes bila you pergi, you kata you nak ambil the server. So the server might already be plugged in. Maksudnya dia dah ada banyak plug dan sebagainya, tapi dia kata tak apa, kau ambil je server ni, kau bawa balik. Dia cakap macam tu. Sebab kita tak perlukan, kita ada backup server, bla bla bla, contohnya lah kan. Manager cakap, so you pun tak sabar pergi kat belakang. Tak boleh, ambil gambar dulu supaya nanti bila you dah bawa balik kat tempat you dah bawa bila you hantar balik kat orang tu, you boleh assemble balik dalam keadaan yang sama. Okay? Before you package the evidence, you have to make sure that you block signal. So contohnya iPhones, you can actually iPhones ataupun iPads ataupun Mac, you can actually delete. Orang panggil apa? I don't use iPhone tapi I tahulah. You can remote delete kan your information kan, if you are logged in. So you can remote wipe kalau saya tak silap. So contohlah kalau suspect ni dia sempat larikan diri tapi dia tertinggal phone, dia boleh guna komputer dia dekat luar untuk remote delete benda-benda kat dalam phone ni. So it might be a little bit not saying that bila dia delete you tak boleh dapat data, tapi it'll be very difficult for you to get it. And so the first thing bila you jumpa phones, what do you need to do? You need to buat dia jadi flight mode. So you block all kind of network punya interventions to your phones, to their phones. And so at least dia orang tak boleh nak access their phones before going from a remote location. Okay, should the power be maintained? So if it's computer on, leave it on. If it's off, jangan buka, leave it off. But we have tools that you bring on site to actually get data from PCs that are not switched on. It's much more easier. Sebab kenapa? Sebab bila you benda tutup, you pergi gata-gata tekan on, apa akan jadi? Dia akan mengubah the data trail. You tak boleh nak buktikan bahawa suspect ni last dia guna adalah untuk buat ni sekian. Tak boleh, sebab apa? You dah on. Bila you on, dah ada dalam log tu. Unless it is required of you to actually switch on the thing, you have to note that in your contemporaneous notes, in your C notes. Okay? Then you need to transport the evidence and then store the evidence dekat a secure location, which is macam a vault room lah. So what is the chain of custody? You have to identify materials in a unique way for each individual item. So kalau you jumpa 10 phone, so mungkin you buat phone _01, phone _02, bla 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 bla. Ada you jumpa pula iPad _01. So it has to be unique, because it's very critical for you to have that chain of custody. So the chain of custody follows each piece of evidence everywhere. So daripada awal, daripada you dapat ni, lepas you ambil komputer, you suruh orang tu sign. Cakap, okay, tolong sign mengatakan bahawa saya dah ambil kopi ni. Okay, so it starts from there, chain of custody. and it has to be updated. So lepas tu you pun bawa balik, pergi simpan kat dalam vault. So bila kat vault ni mesti ada orang yang technical in charge. So orang technical dia notify, dia pun sign kat situ. Okay, saya ambil pada tarikh sekian-sekian untuk masuk kat dalam vault room. And just to ensure that evidence is not tampered into. Alright, okay, so you need to document evidence. So this is when you do in the chain of custody lah. Kat mana you jumpa, what state was it in? Was it on, was it off? Was it destroyed? Was it intentionally destroyed? What time, what was the date? Give a physical description. So if it's a USB but it's in the bentuk of I don't know, of an animal of sorts kan. Sekarang USB ada macam-macam jenis. So you need to actually describe that inside the chain of custody, take a picture, put that in your report. What's the capacity, what's the condition. So capacity ni sikit lah, tricky sikit. So if it's shown on the evidence itself, put that on. So tapi kalau tak ada, so you have to get IV and then put that kind of information bila you start buat analysis. Okay, identify the make, model, what is the serial number. Okay, so packaging evidence, so you need to protect from impact, you need to protect from electromagnetic radiation, any extreme temperature yang boleh menukar information ni. So ada case even PDRM pun ada cakap, they actually acquired a lot of evidence, but during transport, maksudnya dia orang dekat dalam dia punya PDRM ada digital forensic punya, what do they call it, mobile digital forensic. So dia macam van tapi dia ada equipment kat dalam tu lah. I tak tahulah sejauh mana dia orang guna. So if you have a chance to actually join the forum, you can ask ataupun bila kita boleh panggil PDRM untuk datang untuk bercakap, kita mungkin boleh tanyalah dia guna tak sebenarnya. Tapi ASP Bazura pernah cakap dengan saya dalam perjalanan tu data to wipe. So they know that there were ni, and then orang yang pergi ni dia tak disable, dia tak enable flight mode and then dia tak masuk ke dalam Faraday bag. So Faraday bag is a packaging of evidence, selalu ditengok kat dalam CSI lah. Dia akan masuk kat dalam evidence yang dalam bag yang electromagnetic, dia anti electromagnetic. Maksudnya dia putuskan lah dengan yang luar. Dia pun banyak jual sekarang sebabnya RFID chips kan, you punya card, you tak nak orang boleh charge dan sebagainya. So dia sebenarnya dia kurangkan daripada itu. Alright, dia protect against that. Ini pun kita ada dekat lab. So kalau korang tak boleh sangat untuk pergi kat lab, saya akan ambil gambar daripada lab untuk tunjuk kat korang lah the Faraday bag. Kita panggil Faraday bag. Okay. Transporting evidence. Never assume that a computer is standalone. Always think like an investigator. So selalu fikir, dia mesti ada something apa peripherals yang ada. Okay, determine if it should remain powered up, nak maintain powered up ataupun you shut down. If it must be shut down, document the state of computer before breaking it down. Maksudnya mungkin PC tu kita tutup. Ataupun komputer, phone ni tak gerti, China punya phone, tak tahu mana flight mode dia, tak tahu kat mana, tak faham bahasa langsung ni. Kalau you main banyak-banyak sangat, nak cari kat mana nak disable, takut tamper dengan evidence banyak sangat. Okay, so what do? So you just shut it down, senang. Okay, kalau saya shut down je lah komputer ni, senang, dia pun tak ada pakai password, cuma aku tak faham. Contohlah kan. Alright, so before you shut that down, you just have to note what are the current applications that are active on the phone. Tengok application apa, mungkin suspect tu guna the application before dia tinggalkan phone tu. What are the running processes, network connections. Kenapa network connection kena ambil sebelum you shut down? Sebab network connections tak semua dia akan retain masa you turn off the computer. Okay, protect portable devices and media from external corruption. Okay, so storing evidence, you have a vault ataupun storeroom untuk evidence and it's very secure. You need to log in and log out who, what, when, where and why use the information ataupun evidence. A rules of protection during transport apply equally to the storage. Access storage must be limited. Kalau macam dekat MCMC, hanya technical people yang boleh masuk dalam vault. So kalau investigator sendiri nak pergi work on certain cases, they have to go through technical person. Technical person yang pergi masuk dalam vault untuk dapatkan data tu, dia keluar daripada vault, dia bagi kat digital forensic investigator. So there is a process to that. Kenapa? Sebab all of this will be questioned later on in court. Kenapa you boleh access? Maksudnya sesiapa je lah boleh access. Dan selanjutnya. Okay. Disposition of evidence. When the job is done, evidence must be destroyed or returned. You kena pulangkan balik. Macam saya cakap tadi, you kena ambil gambar. Walaupun bersedirat macam mana pun dia punya kabel, macam tu jugalah yang you kena pasang balik. Okay? Alright. Any questions so far? Any questions?
No, man.
Capish? Faham? Betul faham? Can I,
Ma'am,
yep.
kenapa when the job is done, evidence kena destroyed?
When the job is done, evidence kena destroyed. Dia punya name. Let me just check. Mana tadi? Mana yang dia kata must be, oh ni, destroyed. So contohnya ialah you buat, sebab you akan buat multiple images. You ambil confidential data daripada company mana-mana kan. You akan buat image. Maksudnya you akan buat, macam you akan buat forensic copy of that image. Sebab apa kita tak nak work on evidence. Contohnya phone ni, kita tak boleh lah terus work on this phone. Ataupun work on this PC lah. Desktop senang sikit. Work on this PC terus, tak boleh. So saya akan guna saya punya tools untuk dapatkan data, buat image. An image of the exactly a replica of the system, of the laptop. So saya akan buat investigation, analysis menggunakan replicate ataupun kita punya forensic copy tu. Tapi bila you dah habis, dah masuk court, dah settle semua tu, dah tak ada hak untuk you pegang data tu, you kena buang lah. Sebab apa? That might be confidential data, politician punya data, there might be macam sexual assaults punya data, gambar, ataupun there might be all this incriminating punya evidence which you yourself do not have the right to hold as a forensic investigator after the case is closed. So you need to destroy it. Okay? Faham?
Faham ma'am, thank you ma'am.
So you memang tak akan pegang langsung evidence tu. Dah settle case, pulang. Settle case, pulang. Settle case, pulang. Jangan, kita simpan dulu lah. Mungkin nak tunggu ni. So contohlah macam MH370, MCMC, CSM, there's external, FBI masuk. Lepas tu ada yang daripada China datang, ada yang daripada Philippines datang, semua datang tolong, semua dapat forensic image ni juga. So everybody has the same thing and everybody is trying to find out what happened in their own capacity lah. So orang ni cerita cara macam ni cara dia, yang ni orang ni cari, cari. So akhirnya macam you kena pastikan, akhirnya kenapa you kena pegang lepas habis kes tu, you kena pulang balik lah. Walaupun you tak dapat settlekan. Dapat tak settle? Tak dapat. Tapi dalam timeline yang dia given, this is what we found. Ataupun this is what we didn't find. Kita tak jumpa apa-apa langsung. Whether you find it or not, you tak boleh pegang dah evidence tu. Pulang balik evidence tu. Ataupun destroy kalau itu adalah satu copy. Sebabnya you dah habis limit. What happens kalau tiba-tiba kan you dapat buat investigation sampai dikata 3 bulan daripada Januari sampai March. Tapi macam mungkin Mei tu you punya workload dah kurang sikit, tak banyak case. Aku teringat lah, aku rasa macam suspicious lah. You pun pergi buka balik the evidence. So that might be akan di-content nanti dalam court. You did not have authorization to actually handle the evidence after the case was closed in March, contohnya. So kenapa kau nak buka balik? So kalau tiba-tiba you ada suspicion, what do? Call up the police, ask for a warrant, and then do it again. So you need to have the proper procedure. You kena ikut procedure lah, senang cerita. Okay? Good question. Any other questions? Are you guys still okay if we move to another slide? Or do you guys need a bit? Or do you guys think that that's enough for today? We'll continue on Friday. What do you guys think? It's all up to you. The student-centered punya learning. Yes. What do you guys want?
Maybe enough for
It's okay
today.
to
ma'am.
carry on, ma'am.
Enough for today? Somebody said enough for today. Somebody said carry on. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes for? Yes to? Or maybe macam ni lah. Kita buat, we'll take 10. We'll take 10 minutes of a break. And then I was thinking about going into chapter 7, which is data acquisition. Dia punya slide tak banyak, ada 10 slide je. The reason why I want to do this is because on Friday kita ada 1 jam je. And I plan to actually buka data acquisition punya slides from e-learning. So it, hopefully that it complements whatever I teach today. Okay, so I'll give you 10 minutes, boleh? And then we can start.
Boleh, ma'am.
Boleh. Kita pun start lambat tadi kan. Baru sejam kelas. Okay, boleh pergi rehat kejap. Kalau rasa otak macam terbakar, siap baring kejap. Tak ada benda pun, chill je. Right, 10 minutes.
ma'am.
Yang tidur pula, tidur tak bangun. Okay guys, are you well rested? Well rested, tak tahu well. Did you get a good break? Okay, so this is just a little bit introduction of data acquisition. So this is all talk kan. Nanti bila kita buat praktikal, you akan nampak lah. Macam mana satu data tu sebenarnya, when you delete it, when you press delete on a file on your desktop, where does it go to? What's the trail? So bila you delete, sebenarnya dia pergi somewhere else. It's not permanently deleted from your system. There's a lot of software you can actually try just on your phone, on your PC. If you tak ni, you boleh buat seorang-seorang pun, you tak nak orang lain nampak kan apa yang you dah buat. You can actually go to web historian online. You can actually see your web searches and how long did you spend on each particular site. Contohnya kalau Netflix, berapa lama you doing Netflix as compared to e-learning, berapa lama kan. You can actually, there's a lot of free tools out there. You can actually get all that data balik. And you run on your PC, you can boleh dapat balik data-data yang ter-delete atau sengaja di-delete kan. You still can get that information. Alright, okay. So the next topic that I'm going to share is data acquisition. So we have talked about evidence. We've talked about what categorize something as an evidence, atau what categorizes this case as a computer crime. So as long as it uses computer ataupun it involves computer, the crime is committed on the computer ataupun using the computer, or the computer is used to facilitate the crime, or even not just computers, any other digital resources. So contohnya macam if you use network, if you use a service, if you use drones, if you use macam-macam lah, cameras. So banyak case cameras in changing rooms. So it's macam nampak macam lah, tak ada benda pun lah. Ada lah benda sebenarnya because it's privacy. So it actually breaks multiple laws. Privacy Act, Computer Misuse Act. Sebab apa, a camera is supposed to be used for a particular reason, but you're doing it differently. So if you break actually multiple acts, so that increases the number of years that you have to spend macam mana, tersabit kesalahan tu bertambah lah. Okay. Alright. So you already know that part, and you know that digital forensic is about legal punya aspects as well, not just legal but also technical. So in order to acquire, so what is acquisition is how do you actually get the data from the evidence, daripada evidence yang mana yang you dah retrieve dekat crime scene. Okay. So first, the rule of thumb is never work on the original. Macam saya dah cakap, so it's just a little bit of repetition. So you never work on the original. You dapat desktop tu, you jangan work on the original desktop. If you dapat USB, you never work on that USB. You make a forensic copy ataupun a bit-to-bit copy we call it, ataupun forensic duplicate pun also juga. Tapi usually kita panggil a forensically sound copy ataupun an image. And let me just put that here. Pen image, forensic image. Okay, so keep a master copy and make sure there are several copies. So not only do you have to make a copy, you need to make several copies. So satu tu you betul-betul buat forensic copy daripada satu PC kepada satu PC yang lain, and then from this particular PC you buat pula multiple. Or you can do multiple kat sini pun boleh lah. But you have to have one master copy. So in case if kadang-kadang you dapat satu desktop daripada orang tu, tapi you tak sempat, case you banyak nak buat. So orang tu cakap, okay, you need to return back my PC because my guys cannot do their work, blah 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 blah. So you kena pulangkan PC. So what happens if you have only made multiple, you buat 3 copy and tiga-tiga you dah bagi dekat 3 different investigators and everyone have done their thing dan semuanya contaminated contoh lah. So you don't have a master copy. So selalunya a master copy is something that is exactly the same as well. Semua exactly the same tapi you don't actually work on that. That one you save. So just in case of verification, validation of what you've done, jalan, betul tak you tak ada tertukar ke apa ke masa you buat investigation. Okay. How do you ensure that it is a forensic copy? Okay, so you need to calculate a hash value. So you guys have already taken network kan? You know what a hash value is, right? Security? Tahu kan?
Tahu, ma'am.
Okay, so hash
Tahu,
value.
ma'am.
So hash value ni it determines whether it needs to be exactly the same. So kalau if the hash value is the same from the moment that you took ataupun you buat the forensic copy sampai ke hujung, it's still the same hash value, it means that it is the original copy. Ataupun kalau you dah buat pertukaran, dia akan bertukar lah dia punya hash values. Alright, and each copy must have a unique identifier. So tadi kalau you kata you ada 3 copy, so 01, 02, 03. So 01 will go to investigator A, investigator B, investigator C. So macam mana you keep track of everything? So everything must be in a report, which we will do by the end of the course. Okay, so order of volatility. So what is volatility? What is volatility? Anybody? Everybody's present today. Anybody? What is volatility? Volatile. What does volatile mean?
Not permanent, ma'am.
It's not permanent. Okay, so the order of volatility yang mana yang paling senang untuk hilang data ni. Alright, so these are the ones that you need to grab first. Bila you pergi dekat crime scene, you have to make sure that you get all this information first. Because these, whenever you switch down you turn off the computers, the shut down the computer, servers dan sebagainya, all this information will most probably be gone. Sebab apa? Sebab it resides dekat RAM ke, dekat temporary files ke, and then it's being dia dikosongkan. Melainkan kalau you ada simpan kat dalam cache and cookie tu lain lah. Itu memang akan ada kat dalam your system. Alright, so you need to make sure that you understand this is the most important things that you need to cater first. Bukan nak masukkan yang lain tu tak important, but this one is what you need to emphasize on first. The RAM, your random access memories. Kenapa RAM? Ada apa kat RAM? Mungkin ada passwords. Mungkin ada I don't know, ada IP addresses, temporary files, local disk, external storage media, your network attached storage, and your archival backups. So memory ni dia usually it holds password, like I said. It can be difficult to extract, but in a pinch, maybe all you have. Maksudnya you ada masa sikit je. So whatever you have, just try to extract that. The best case scenario is whenever you're called into the to do investigation, the suspect is there sebab dia masih suspect. Saya tak buat tapi you boleh tanya dia, you boleh dapatkan password, dia boleh lah cakap saya tak nak bagi, tak boleh. Awak ada warrant jadi awak kena bagi. So dia kecilkan masa you untuk you dapatkan password. Tapi bayangkan kalau suspect tu tak ada. So sometimes usually the passwords will be in the memory. So you need to cater that first. So ada tools yang spesifik untuk dapatkan information daripada memory dulu. Okay. The running processes, you boleh identify malware apa yang ada kat dalam sistem. Routing tables, so do you know what routing tables are? Digital forensic ni supposed to be macam a course, it used to be at the final year. Sebab apa? Sebab it's supposed to be the final punya subject where you have actually learned everything else. You dah belajar OS, you dah belajar network, you dah belajar database and how to encrypt database dan sebagainya. You dah belajar security, so you dah tahu dah semua benda pasal komputer ni, baru you belajar forensic. So tak adalah kita kena masuk satu-satu untuk tahu benda tu kan. So routing tables is where it actually saves the IP addresses of where you melayari internet lah, your ni. So where does the network server is, apa IP address untuk network servers, email server, bla 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 dan sebagainya. Okay. You can get the routing tables from memory as well, and the network connection also reside in RAM. So the temporary network connections, contohnya yang mana you tak save, you pun browse, you pun pergi surfing for internet surfing dekat dalam kereta, you lalu je nampak ada open network, you pun guna kan, contohnya lah. Dia tak nak tahu you punya IP address, so selalu jarang lah orang nak pakai static IP address, orang akan pakai running IP address kan, yang mana dia boleh Kodenya orang tak nampak lah, orang tak dapat nak cari dia. So it's actually in the RAM. Alright. So memory is actually a device and you can actually dump that memory into a file. And dia bukan macam memory kita lah. So the amount of memory capture may be different from the amount of installed RAM. Sebab apa? Sebab some utilities capture device cache memory. So you know what a cache is? So a cache is where it simpan maklumat-maklumat yang penting ataupun yang mana kita kerap pergi. Some utilities don't capture installed RAM devoted as a device cache. So sometimes sebab tu dia ada perbezaan. Kadang-kadang you dapat the same exact amount of RAMs. Kadang-kadang you tak dapat. So it depends on your device, your evidence, and as well as your utilities ataupun the tools that you use to actually capture that memory. Okay? So that's why when you conduct a forensic investigation, you need to use multiple tools to validate your findings. Okay? So most commercial forensic suits offer memory capture capabilities. The one that we have in the lab right now, which I plan to share with you guys later on, which is magnet axiom. It is supposed to be the in thing right now. Dulu masa saya ajar 2009, it was encase, and then it has been FTK for a long time. We have encase and FTK dekat PKS. So right now we have magnet axiom dekat lab, our lab keselamatan. So magnet axiom ni you can actually get memory, you boleh dapat cloud, you boleh dapat desktop, mobile, IoT sensors. So hopefully we get to do that later on. Tapi ini adalah DD utility dan PIC memorize ni memang specialized untuk memories. So DD utility ni namanya DD ni adalah kalau you biasa pakai Linux, that is actually command language for copy DD utility. Alright, so memory capture tips. So keep your memory footprint to a minimum. Kenapa footprint? So whatever you do, you nak copy ke, you nak run tools ke apa dan sebagainya, semuanya akan masuk dalam memory. Sebab tu kadang-kadang tadi kita cakap sebanyak mana kita try untuk control contaminate the evidence, we still need to contaminate it a little bit to gain the memory. So how do you ensure that it doesn't become a problem for you in court is by jotting down everything. Make sure in your C notes, in your contemporaneous notes, you say that, okay, I tried to access memory using this application at this time. So this is this much, blah blah. You dah tulis siap-siap. And all of that penulisan yang you tulis kat dalam notes you, itu yang akan masukkan dalam the final report. So it safeguards yourself and it safeguards the evidence in the court later on. Okay, so it's possible run from a flash drive. Kenapa flash drive? I will let you know on the later on. Copy memory image to an external file. You jangan guna the same device. Make sure that the device capturing image can handle large files. So sekarang ni kita tengok komputer banyak pakai RAMs, NSTP, okay? Tapi kebanyakan USB masih lagi gunakan FAT punya sistem. So ni semua you dah belajar dalam S, I assume that everybody knows what I'm talking about. So dalam USB you punya file system guna FAT. So FAT ni selalunya dia punya memory size tak besar sangat lah. So it's easier for you to gain access. Alright, memory capture procedures. So macam mana you nak buat memory capture? Memory capture is by starting the documentation process. You run a batch file that collects all the user information, network connections, time, date, open files. You collect the memory dump, copy the paging file, and copy any hibernation files. You can actually work, this is actually a very good tool to actually develop for your PSM. So if anybody is interested to work on this, maybe we can talk about that later. Alright, media capture. You have to document everything. You have to use a forensic write blocker. Okay, so this is what I've mentioned before. So what is a write blocker? So a write blocker can be in terms, can either be a software or a hardware. So saya akan tunjuk contoh gambar dia hari Jumaat. A write blocker ni kita gunakan untuk memastikan kita tak tukar information. So bila kita activate our write blocker, whatever we do, it will not contaminate the data. Kita tak boleh nak tukar apa-apa. Kita boleh tengok, kita boleh copy, tapi kita tak boleh nak tukar information. So that is a write blocker. And so you need to use a write blocker whenever you do digital forensics. So most utilities ataupun tools, forensic tools, dia dah ada write blocker dia siap-siap. Nak pastikan write blocker ni on ke tak, always tengok hashing value. So it's just a repetition of that. Okay, so write blocker ni dia ada software, soft copy. You can Google and search, dia ada satu tu, saya tak ingat nama dia apa, tapi write blocker lah. Dia punya gambar tu gambar pencuri pakai topi. Itu write blocker. So that's actually good for your safety as well. Kalau you punya you selalu pakai komputer dekat tempat yang awam, contohnya kat your rooms, you never know you punya housemate ke, you punya roommate ke, ataupun other people punya roommate ke datang, orang lain lah datang untuk dapat ambil data daripada tempat you tak boleh. Sebab apa? Sebab you pakai write blocker. Dia tak boleh nak change data contohnya. Alright. So do not use standard copy utilities to make copies. Store all images on a forensically sound media. Kenapa forensically sound? Janganlah guna yang mana yang you dah guna sebelum ni. Kan nanti dah tak jadi, tak ada integrity lah. Alright, so these are the disk image file formats. Kalau bila you dah buat disk imaging ataupun bit to bit imaging, dia akan jadi .dd ataupun dia akan jadi .ewf, which is expert witness format, ataupun dia akan jadi .aaf. So semua ni sebenarnya adalah berdasarkan the tools that you use, and some tools can actually generate all this kind of format. Kadang-kadang ada orang yang pakai encase, ada orang yang pakai FTK, ada orang yang pakai magnet macam saya cakap tadi, ataupun ada orang yang pakai something else, autopsy, open software dan sebagainya. Selalunya kita akan bagi .dd sebab it's commercial. Semua orang akan boleh buka that same file. Kalau iManager ni, Imager ni kalau tak silap encase. Bukan. ProDiscover is encase. I look to FTK ataupun is either one lah. Saya tak ingat antara dua tu. So it's just the file format. As long as you do imaging, as long as you know what is the what is imaging ataupun what is a forensic copy of an evidence, and it's required for every single evidence that you do. Yang you acquire daripada crime scene. So kalau you dapat server ataupun tapes, backup tapes yang banyak, so you need to ensure you punya backup tape lagi besar. You ambil yang 500, yang 250 lah, 256 kan. You kena pastikan you punya 512 at least. Sebab apa? Sebab dia akan kita nak pastikan benda tu tak akan jadi macam tak cukup ke dan sebagainya lah. Ada issues dengan unallocated space, ada issues dengan slack space dan sebagainya. Alright? Any questions on memory capture and imaging? Ke dah lost dah? Mem, I dah lost dah. Kepala dah terpu dah mem. It's okay, go back and read on chapter 6 and chapter 7, and also read on slides that is the same dekat dalam e-learning. So dalam e-learning tu ada yang pasal data acquisition as well. So you can actually go look into that. It's just that the slides kat dalam e-learning is just smaller in size, meaning that's only like a few macam 15, ada yang 10 slides, so it's very condensed in a way, and that's why I'm using both slides to actually convey the knowledge so that you can actually understand more. Alright, so any questions? Are you guys still with me ke dah pergi Never Land?
Yes, ma'am.
Ada, ma'am.
Ada? Semua masih ada? Semua masih hidup?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Alright, so thank you so much. I think that'll be all for today's class. On Friday, we'll look into the slides on e-learning a little bit. And next week, we're going to do a little bit of, hopefully, saya nak tunjuk je lah, tak buat banyak. Tapi sikit-sikit lah macam mana data is deleted, macam mana you nak retrieve balik data tanpa menggunakan tool sikit. Dan saya akan tunjuk a normal tool, which I will ask you to download later on. Just a simple tool. Simple tool yang kecil sikit. Alright. Okay, so thank you so much for your attention. I'll see you guys next week. Next week pula. I'll see you guys on Friday.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,